Welcome into NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey. It is our mailbag filmed on our Wednesday live show, answering all your questions live as they come in. Beginning with a super chat from Aldo. Hello, NFL family. Are the teams with no salary cap money able to make moves or trades? Some of those teams are a couple players away to being contenders and not pretenders. So the answer is yes, because it is very easy to manipulate the salary cap. The Vikings, for example, the least amount of salary cap space, all they have to do is do a simple restructure of Brian Allen's contract. It doesn't change, or Brian O'Neill's money. It just impacts the way it hits the salary cap. Saves them $10 million. Just like that. So, yes, they can still spend. They just have to make moves to be cap compliant. From Mark, talking about the Cowboys here. If we sign Ford, we lose a comp pick. JJ always does a clown show. So far, A+. I'm afraid we'll choose a Kavika Pittman, and a Shante Carver. Hey, good news is the guys running your Kavika Pittman, Shante Carver drafts are gone. Those are two all-time busts for Dallas. Depends on the money for Poona Ford. That's what you're talking about when he witnesses Ford, by the way, those of you unfamiliar. Poona Ford, if you pay him more than about $3 million, he would potentially cost you a comp pick, yes. Another one from Mark, $5. We should not take a wide receiver. Class is not strong, unlike running backs. And if Gallup returns to form and Tolbert, improves, there's gonna be a logjam. So Mark makes some good points. I think Dallas is looking at receivers to see how they feel about it and get the vibes of, okay, Cooks is here for a year or two. Maybe they're more out on Tolbert than they've let on internally. They're going to keep Gallup for now, but I think it has to be the right guy at wide receiver for them to actually take one. From Mark again, does Jeremy get abused on other channels as well? The answer is yes. He will do plenty of other things, and Jeremy's flipping the bird. I don't know why. I'm not lying, Jeremy. You do. You get abused on other channels too. He does. He's a great team player, as he blows his nose because he's all stuffy. From Fraud McDaniels, this must be a Raiders fan. Is Jalen Carter a top 10 lock? Depends on who you ask. If you ask his agent, sounds like it's a yes. He's only taking visits with teams in the top 10. But that could also be a ploy to build the appearance of top 10 interest there. It's all about the off the field. And I don't have a great feeling for where things currently sit on that. Maybe we'll know more. There's still time for the draft, still roughly 3 weeks, so things can change, but we'll see. So what do you like more? D for draft, T for trades, F for free agency. If you're DTF, sound off in the comments section which one you are at the pinned comments of today's video. So if an ad break comes here on YouTube, ignore the ad. No one cares. Head down there, D, T, or F. Mark says, love you, Jeremy, like a fat kid loves cake. Aloha. And Jeremy just waved high thumbs up back at me, Mark. Thanks. From GM Evan Hinders, should the Steelers trade back with the Chiefs and draft Will McDonald and Jack Campbell back to back? If you want to move down and go defense, I wouldn't mind that. I think corner might be a slightly bigger need than edge at this point, but I'm always down for a trade back, acquire assets, and get more players. From Cali Llama, I can't read what that says on the profile picture, but it looks funny. Llama said knock you out. That's pretty funny. Let's be honest. There's no way the Patriots trade Mac Jones, right? I don't think so. I think there is some tension there. I think there's been some issues that had actually been mentioned. It's probably not going to happen, but keep an eye on it at the Combine when Sam and I were there. I think they give him one more year with an actual NFL offensive coordinator. I also never loved Mac Jones, so I think maybe Bill Belichick isn't sold either. It's a weird situation, though, because they sabotaged Mac Jones in year 2, and that's not what you want to do with a young QB. Mark, is Mitz another Hill or way better? No buts. Who's Mitz? Who's he referring to with Mitz? Nobody's talking about who is Mitz. Another John Michael Schmitz, maybe? I'm not sure who we're talking to. Who we're talking about there, Mark. Dude, Mozzie Smith, Tristan Hill. Maybe that's who you're talking about. Mozzie Smith. Either way, yeah, Cowboys can't afford to have busts this year, Mark. So He says DT, so I think we're talking about Mozzie Smith, I think. Very different. Let's pretend it's Mozzie Smith. Yes, he says Mozzie Smith. Perfect. Very different player. Now, it is some of the still banking on the upside, but I think that there's a better floor of being a good run stopper in Mozzie Smith than there ever was with Tristan Hill. So let me put it this way. I have Mozzie Smith rated much better than I did at Tristan Hill. Latuya 67, Poona Ford to the Raiders. Good fit or bad fit? Look, I'm a big fan of what Poona Ford brings a team as more of a run-stopping defensive lineman. I think he's better than John Jenkins, Adam Butler. So if the Raiders want that run-stopping DT, I think they need DT help in general. Yeah, I'd be on board with Poona Ford, even if he might not bring the same level of pass rush that I think Patrick Graham would prefer. But still, I think it'd be a good pickup for Vegas, for a lot of teams, frankly. Skull Colt, what would be a good draft pick for the Vikings? Top corner on the board. There are probably going to be some guys, whether it's Deontay Banks, Amino Forbes, you get lucky and Joey Porter Jr. slides to you that can play man coverage. I do not trust a grouping of Andrew Booth, Caleb Evans, and Byron Murphy. They need more talent there for a scheme that's going to be very man coverage heavy. I say corner for Minnesota. Now, if you want to be a part of our mailbags, then you have to be subscribed. Otherwise, you're not going to know when we're live doing these. So hit that sub button and make sure those notifications are set to all for our multiple times per week live shows and multiple videos per day right here on Chat Sports. Tristan Bravo, Bucks should go for Hendon Hooker round 2 to create more quarterback competition, or go for a tackle or DB for depth. I think tackle in general, I think you're referring to offensive tackle, massive need. They don't have a left tackle on their roster that's good right now. So that's a pretty glaring area of concern that I have for Tampa. Defensive back, they were able to re-sign some of their players. Yeah, I still think, I think Ryan Branch would be a fun fit for them, man. I don't know if they'll do that. It's a bit of a retooling in Tampa. If they like Hendon Hooker in round 2, sure. Round 1, I don't like that one very much. Carter Reimer, is DeMarvoin Overshown underrated? I got to remember to put the school and team positions in there. Linebacker, Texas, those of you unfamiliar. I don't think he's that. I think he's properly rated. There's some great athletic ability, some upside. There are moments, he reminds me of Malik Jefferson, where it's like, you're such a good athlete, and yet you just look confused out there. And part of that's because he moved from safety, so it's a different game for him to an extent. But I'm worried the awareness, the instincts aren't going to get developed enough to maximize what are really impressive athletic gifts. I will say he took a significant jump forward this past year on the field. From Aldo again, love how Chat Sports changed the game. Thank you, Aldo. I appreciate that. We appreciate all the reporters on the team's channels. Very entertaining and informative. Thanks, Aldo. That's very kind of you. I really do appreciate that. You guys think when Tua is healthy, he is one of the best quarterbacks? When he was healthy last year, he was a top 10 NFL quarterback. Now, we're still basing on a pretty small sample size, so if you're worried about that, you want to take some more of the longer-term proven guys, totally get that. But we saw last year what Tua can be. What I think some of the higher upside stuff, he's very accurate. I think the biggest one right now is not the play for Tua. It's, can he stay healthy? That's a big question mark right now. Hopefully, he's able to. Andy with Bills Mafia. I love Bills Mafia. They're my favorite fan base. You guys are wild. What's the Bills' biggest need? Middle linebacker or wide receiver? I think both. If you're making me choose one, I'm gonna go linebacker. Because I could survive at wide receiver with Diggs and Gabe Davis and kind of hopeful for Khalil Shakir, and I think they brought in Deontay Hardy too. You could survive with that for now. Matt Milano and do we believe in Terrell Bernard? So I'm not sure I do. I think linebacker. I think the depth is worse there too. So I'm going to go linebacker, then wide receiver. Roman Ham, what's up, Tom? How you doing today? I'm doing good. Do you agree with Joy Taylor that the Falcons don't care about winning? If so, what do you got to do for them to get the respect they deserve rise up? I think this is based on we don't have any interest in Lamar Jackson. and we want to make Desmond Ridder the guy. And I don't know if it's specifically in Atlanta's case, if that's an evidence of we're not trying to win football games, because they've also spent money on David Onyemata, Calais Campbell, Cade Nellis. So they're clearly trying to win. So I disagree with that. I would agree that if I were the Falcons, I would have gone after Lamar Jackson, and I would have shown interest there. Now maybe they get creative and say we'll do it after the draft and keep our first-round pick this year. Dark horse idea. But to get the respect they deserve in the end is to go in the NFC South. It's a very gettable division this year. From Ego My Lego, that's backwards, but I like it. Could the Niners trade Trey Lance? I don't think they will. Look, we have not seen Trey Lance play football. We know Zach Wilson is a bust at this point. Call it what it is. Trey Lance is still the mystery box. It could be anything. It could even be a boat. He hasn't played much, and we've seen flashes in the preseason at North Dakota State. It's just, I haven't seen much of it. So if I were the Niners, I would let Lance and Purdy compete. Then I will figure out what happens next year if one of those guys proves themselves as their guy. So will the Niners trade Trey Lance this year? Y for yes, N for no. Predict it for me in the comments section. Gamer Dude is back. Happy to have you here, my friend. With a Niners trip in the second round to get Cody Mauch or Blake Freeland, they have the assets with a bunch of the third and fourth round picks to go be aggressive. I would wonder if they stand pat. Cody Mauch will not get to them. I wouldn't rule out Blake Freeland, if not second round, sliding into the third round. I do think Freeland's a pretty good scheme fit, though, for what the Niners want to do on offense. So I think two good names if they do want to get aggressive and move up. Hal Snipes II. I think Van Ness is the top 10 talent. He is not top 10 on my board. I'm not anti-Van Ness. I think he's worthy of being a first-round pick in terms of the top 31 players, but it's like saying George Karlaftis was a top 10 player last year. I don't think it's the case. There's upside for sure, but he's not top 10 on my board. From Mark, who's scouting our D linemen, we have sucked. Golston, Bohanna, Neville, Anai, Hill, Jackson, Jelks, Joey Ivy, Taco, Taper, Collins, Armstrong, and Osa are the best. That's not good. Or Armstrong and Osa are the best. Well, do they get some credit for Micah Parsons at all? Or is that just like we lucked into the whole linebacker thing there, which I think is fine. I like what I've seen from Sam Williams so far. The one thing that I'll give them some leeway on, Bohanna, Anai, Jackson, Jelks, and Ivy, even Taper, those were all day 3 picks. And more often than not, you're going to miss on your day 3 picks when it's all said and done. But I think in particular, it's the Neville Gallimore, at least recently, pick and the Tristan Hill pick that really, really hurt because you spent so much on those guys' relative draft capital. I'm not out on Goldstein. I think he showed some nice flashes last year. You still don't have that impact player at DT. That's what Dallas is missing, and that's what I agree with you on, Mark. From Tom's Burner's Burner. Wow, we're getting way deep in the weeds now. What's Carson Wentz's future? I don't know. It's a great question. Is he done? Is he going to play again? Carson Wentz isn't good. I don't know if he's got the typical backup leadership mold that NFL teams want. He was good in 2019 to an extent, but the numbers have really fallen off. The 2021 numbers were deceptive, and that's why I think they were too quick to fire Frank Reich in Indy. I don't know where Wentz goes. Is it do the Ravens bring him in if they trade Lamar? That's not a great option. So I don't know what happens with Carson Wentz. That's a great question because his future's murky as all get out. So what do you think ends up happening? Who, if anyone, will sign Carson Wentz? Go ahead and sound off for me in the comments section right now. Brokov, should the Commanders take Josh Downs to make Sam Howell more comfortable? Well, they do have Diami Brown, who was also at UNC. They've also got Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, and Curtis Samuel. So spending a second on Josh Downs to be Wide receiver 3/4 with already big investments made probably isn't the right route they're going to go. And from Clayton Lockhart, our final one here. Why isn't there any love for Jack Campbell? The Cowboys get Osiris Torrance, Ashton Washington, and Jack Campbell. I'd be jumping for joy. What say you? I just think he's a better, he's a Leighton Vander Esch style linebacker. I don't think he has the same splash plays teams crave, but he's a good tackler. He's pretty reliable, and he's a way better athlete testing-wise than people thought he was going to be, hence Vander Esch. But round 2, I'm fine with him right there. Make no mistake about it.